So following the news that Trent Alexander-Arnold's doing his best impression of your dad and running off to a different country, destroying a family in the process, hope the move to Madrid was worth it. Trent here's hoping the fans don't cheer for a different player like they did when Eden Hazard was announced. But that got me thinking about who would become Liverpool's vice-captain, which got me thinking about players in the past who have actually captained the Great Reds. Time to go beyond the cop and look at 10 Liverpool players you forgot captain the club. Number 10, Rickie Lambert. Take away the fact that Lambert moved slower than Dick Van Dyke on a cold day and the fact that he was as air quotes lethal in front of goals and Nerf gunners in a Mexican standoff, but there was something kind of nice about seeing Rickie Lambert representing his dream club after he spent the majority of his career terrorising the lower leagues of English football and working his way up to the Premier League in some sort of premonition of Jamie Vardy's career. But if you'd said to the best penalty taker of a generation that he'd captain the club he supported his whole life, I think his head would have exploded, because on the 23rd of September 2014, that's exactly what happened when Liverpool faced Middlesbrough in the League Cup third round, a match famous for Jordan Rossiter's long-range goal in the 10th minute. The fact that the penalty shootout following the 120 minutes of chaos wasn't decided until the 30th spot kick, Jesus wept, and of course the fact that Lambert was elected as club captain for the match over the likes of long-time servant Lucas Leiva, Premier League veteran Kolo Touré, and even Jose Enrique would have been a more appropriate choice. Hell, Lambert didn't even make the penalty shootout. That's how ineffective the captain on the day was, for being substituted in the 74th minute for Mario Balotelli. Number 9, Jerzy Dudek. It shouldn't come as too much of a surprise that Jerzy Dudek wore the captain's armband for Liverpool at some point in his Reds tenure, given his cult hero status amongst the fan base following his exploits in Istanbul and the connection he developed with fans of the club. But what should come as a surprise is that the man between the sticks bore the leadership responsibility not once, not twice, not thrice, but well, whatever the fourth word of all that is, with all the matches coming before the infamous 2005 Champions League final. He wore the armband in the club's 3-2 loss to Bolton Wanderers in the 2003 League Cup under Gerard Houllier, and he wore it 3 times in a row during the club's League Cup campaign the following season against Millwall, Middlesbrough and even Tottenham Hotspur in the quarter-finals, the latter of which saw the Reds get through on penalties and seeing the keeper save a shot from Freddie Canute to secure the win. Number 8, Simon Mignolet. From one Liverpool goalkeeping legend to, well, Simon Mignolet, we see yet another man between the sticks captaining the Reds, albeit in different circumstances. While Dudek only led the club in the League Cup, Simon Mignolet wore the armband 3 times, all of which came in the Premier League, an event which seems to have been blocked in the deepest recesses of my brain. The first came, giggity, during the club's 4-1 victory over West Ham in November 2017. The second was on the 29th of that same month when we beat Stoke City 3-0, a game which saw Dominic Solanke start over Mo Salah, by the way, not enough words to describe how I feel about that choice. And the third and final moment in the sun for the Belgian shot-stopper came on New Year's Day when the Reds beat Burnley 2-1. You know the match I mean, the one which saw Ragnar Klavan win the match in the 94th minute and also saw Dominic Solanke start over Roberto Firmino. For sake, Jurgen. Fun fact, this was also the final time Mignolet would play for the Reds in the Premier League, with Loris Karius becoming the club's number 1 shortly afterwards. Number 7, Mamadou Sakho. When you look back and remember that prior to signing for Liverpool in the summer of 2013, Mamadou Sakho at the age of 17 was the PSG club captain. With this in mind, it shouldn't come as too much of a surprise that he possessed leadership qualities that make him suitable for the captain's armband. That is, until you remember that he was only given the captain's armband at PSG as a means of galvanising the senior members of the France side's dressing room, and he possessed the maturity of a kid in a year 6 sex education class hearing the word Willy for the first time. That didn't stop Brendan Rodgers though, who seemed a big fan of Sakho's character and made him the captain for the club's Europa League clash against Bordeaux on the 17th of September 2013 over the likes of Kolo Touré and Adam Lallana, who scored the only goal in the Reds' 1-1 draw with the French outfit. Number 6, Christian Benteke. Yes, the man Liverpool signed for £32.5 million to score 1 bicycle kick and contribute just 10 goals in 42 matches, actually captained the club in an FA Cup fixture back on the 8th of January 2016. And if you block that memory out, I really don't blame you, because it's certainly something that was repressed from my memory, and the thought of reliving this sort of what-if scenario from a Futurama episode makes me feel tired. If you're struggling to remember the scenario, it was the match in which a much-changed Liverpool side drew 2-2 with League 2 Exeter City, with the majority of Liverpool's first team injured from the transition into Jurgen Klopp's style of football, meaning that the only real 2 options for captain was Jose Enrique, and the man who received the honour, Christian Benteke, who'd fallen down the pecking order so much that this was his only way to get into the starting 11 of Klopp's side. It was the first and last time he captained the side, but he did pick up an assist for Jerome Sinclair in the process. Do you remember him? Number 5, Dejan Lovren. Dejan Lovren's spell at Liverpool feels like hot sauce that you put on your food. If we're being real, it's torture and pain to have on it, but we keep using it anyway. He was never the more reliable or top level performer we needed, but he did the job and kept getting game time whether we liked it or not. In fact, he captained Liverpool not once but twice. The first was the most well known when he led Liverpool out against Manchester City in the historic 4-3 victory at Anfield, ending City's unbeaten spell in the Premier League. Suck it, Pep. But the second can sometimes go under the radar, with the Croatian captaining the Reds in the January 2020 2-2 draw with Shrewsbury Town in the FA Cup over the likes of Fabinho and Joel Matip, a game which saw the Reds scrape through into a replay of the match a few weeks later. Number 4, Joe Allen. The Welsh Xavi captaining Liverpool just once in his career. Get out of here with that nonsense. But no, it's true. The man who was signed by Brendan Rodgers with the intention of transforming the Reds midfield at a time when we had the likes of Charlie Adam and Jay Spearing never quite reached the potential and expectations set upon him following his arrival in the summer of 2012. But that didn't stop him from wearing the captain's armband, because on the 30th of January in an FA Cup 4th round fixture against West Ham, that's exactly what happened when the Welsh international was selected over the likes of, well, I guess Mignolet and Lovren were there. You know what, looking back, Alan might have been the best choice, really. Number 3, Pedro Chirivella. Back in December of 2019, we had a choice to make: League Cup semi-finals or Champions of the World. I think it's safe to say we made the right choice. For context, Liverpool were to play Aston Villa in the quarter-finals of the League Cup on the 17th of December 2019, but were also expected in Qatar to compete in the Club World Cup after the Champions League exploits the season earlier. However, this match was set to take place less than 24 hours after the Aston Villa game, and the club made the decision to take all the first teams to Qatar and left behind basically the entire academy to compete against Villa in the League Cup. With Liverpool fielding the youngest side in their history at the average age of just 19 years and 182 days old, the captain for that day was chosen to be Pedro Chirivella, in a side which also featured the likes of Kelleher, Harvey Elliott, Herbie Kane and Sepp Vandenberg, among others, and it's clear that his influence could only go so far, with the side being demolished 5-0 going into half-time 4-0 down. Not a fault of theirs, of course, and despite being on the losing side, it's still something Chirivella will surely remember forever. Number 2, Jon Flanagan. Does anyone remember when people were comparing Jon Flanagan to Cafu? For sake, I mean, what a timeline we lived in during the 2013-14 season. Well, the academy prospect who burst onto the scene for one season and one season only before injuries and personal issues saw his career descend quicker than testicles with age, actually lived the dream all Liverpool academy players dreamed. Take note, Trent, when he captained the club in the Premier League. On the 20th of March 2016, the Scouse-born fullback led the side out against the dangerous Southampton side at St Mary's at a time when there was hope and expectation that the defender would reignite his career under Jurgen Klopp. Instead, he saw his side beaten 3-2 thanks to a brace from Sadio Mane, and following this display, he only made 4 more appearances for the Reds before being moved on in the summer window. And number 1, Sotirios Kyrgiakos. I mean, I feel ran down whenever I have to go back to this period of time for the Reds, but here we are yet again, Roy Hodgson 2010, the works, and we have to discuss not only one of the worst matches of Liverpool's modern history, a game which saw us beaten at Anfield by League 2 Northampton Town on penalties and fielding the likes of Milan Jovanovic, Danny Wilson and Jay Spearing, but we also need to acknowledge that of all the people in the squad, including the likes of Daniel Agger, Lucas Leiva and hella take David Amu over the choice for captain on the day, Sotirios Kyrgiakos, who was chosen to lead the line for Liverpool in the League Cup 3rd round and saw us produce a display so foul and rancid it's like a piece of rotten beef in a kitchen cupboard. But yes, this actually happened, and God forgive me, because now I feel like I need to burn down a hospital in order to think of something worse than this incident.